Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Nurse Alyssa and I'm a wound care specialist. In today's video, I'm going to be walking you through an essential tool for effective wound care. So we're going to be going over a complete wound care assessment. So whether you're a healthcare professional or caring for a loved one, this tool is an invaluable resource for tracking wound progress and ensuring the best treatment possible. So let's dive in. A proper wound care assessment is critical to ensure that every wound receives the attention that it needs to heal effectively. A complete wound assessment allows us to monitor the progress, spot any potential issues early, and adjust treatment as needed. By documenting wound size, depth, exudate, and more, we can be sure that no details are being overlooked in the wound healing process. So we do start with the basics by gathering patient information. So this includes the name, date of birth, and the date of assessment. We want to identify the wound's location and type. This helps provide context for treatment, and the date of the assessment is very important for wound progress tracking. So after gaining the patient information, we'll start looking at the wound characteristics. So we'll start by looking at the wound size. So you're going to measure the length, the width, the depth, in accordance to your company's policy, as there are many ways to measure a wound. So you want to make sure that everybody is using the same standard in the facility. Now, if you're doing this at home, I always suggest finding the longest length and then go 90 degrees from the length to do the width in the biggest location. Okay, so as you can see here at the picture at the bottom, you can see B and A. So B would be the length, and then A would be the width. Okay, so length would always be longer than the width. Now, like I said, there are different ways of measuring. There's the head to toe method. So you want to do it in accordance to company policy. The shape can also tell us a lot about the wound's progression. So sometimes the wound shape does change. And we're not actually seeing it so much in the length and the width, but the shape is changing. So it's always good to get the shape. Now, after obtaining wound size, we'll evaluate the wound bed appearance. So is it healing with healthy granulation tissue, or is there necrotic tissue that requires more intensive care and debridement, as you can see here with the slough or eschar? Okay, so we want to see that epithelialization tissue or granulation tissue. These are nice healing tissues. When we get into the slough or eschar, this needs a lot more intensive care. We will have to figure out a debridement method to remove this, because we cannot heal a wound that has necrotic tissue in it. It just will not heal. We do have to get to that granulation base. And then next we have wound edges. So wound edges can offer clues about healing. So are they well defined, or are there signs that they are rolled or hyperkeratosis? So that's like your thickening of the skin, or your callus, which is being caused by pressure. So thickening of the skin due to pressure. We also want to assess any undermining or tunneling. So this is when the wound extends deeper underneath the skin surface, which does require special attention. So now we assessed the wound characteristics, we're going to be getting into wound exudate. So exudate or drainage can vary greatly. So we assess the amount and type. So we first look at the amount. This is going to help us determine the exact type of dressing that we should be using. Okay, so as you can see here off to the right-hand side, we have the exudate amount flow chart. It shows the different dressings for the different levels of exudate. So all of these either come in plain or with antimicrobials on them. So we're going to keep that in mind here as we look at the exudate type. So whether it's serous, serosanguinous, purulent, both of these, the amount and type, are going to help us determine and choose the right dressing. So say we have a wound and it has purulent drainage. This is going to help us in our mind determine, okay, am I going to need to use a antimicrobial? Okay, so do I need to pick a dressing in that category that has an antimicrobial on it for this wound. Now we're going to go deeper into wound infection here in just a few moments, but it gets our mind going and in the right place when we see these types of things. So after we assessed the exudate, we want to assess the peri-wound. So this is the tissue surrounding the wound. It's honestly just as important as the wound itself. So we look for any signs of irritation, maceration, excoriation, which can all impact healing. So what do these mean? These are big words. Let's go over this a little bit just so you better understand what they are. So we always want dry, intact skin around the peri-wound. This intact right here is the perfect skin that we want to see. Now, sometimes we have reddening. So your erythema around the wound, okay, that can start showing signs of irritation or inflammation. So we want to watch that. Our maceration here, so you can see the white around this wound. This is no good. This will break down if we continue to let the wound stay wet like this. So when we have a macerated wound, we need to increase the absorption properties of the dressing that we're using. We also need to protect the peri-wound tissue. I normally will use a skin protectant wipe around this just so we can dry it out, stop the moisture from being on that skin, because once again, as you can see, that whole white area, that can open up if we let that moisture stay there. Then we have excoriation. Now, I didn't put a picture for this because I want you to actually understand it. So it's a breakdown of the skin around the wound, leading to superficial abrasions or scratches. Okay, so that's excoriation. It's superficial abrasions or scratches around the wound. And then induration is when the tissue becomes really hard or firm around the wound. And lastly, we have dryness and cracking. So this is also not good because it's really hard for the wound to migrate inwards towards healing, because that's really what we're doing. We want this to migrate inwards when we're healing a wound. And when it's dry and cracking, it's really hard for the wound to do so. So we want to add some hydration, moisture out here. And then we want to look at signs of infection in the peri-wound area. So we have not looked at actual infection in the wound yet, so in the actual wound base, but we're looking in the peri-wound. We want to look for any signs of infection. So is there red? Is there swelling? Is there heat? Is there pain? These are awesome. It's an infrared thermometer. Now how you use this is you would take the temperature of around the wound, and then you want to go parallel to, say, if we're doing a top of a foot on the left foot, we are going to take it in the same spot on the other foot. And we're going to see temperature changes, if there are temperature changes, and that will let us know if there is heat in that area. And if there's heat in the area, most of the time we are having infection. So that's how we are assessing if there's possible infection. We're going to be going a little bit deeper into infection here in just a few moments to get a greater picture of what's going on with the wound. So next we do our pain assessment. So pain management is a huge part of wound care. If somebody is in constant pain with a wound, they are not going to be able to heal. The pain will not allow somebody to heal, and that is so very important to know, because I've had so many patients of my own say that they don't want to take pain medication because they don't want to get addicted. But if they're actually using the medications as they should and treating the pain, and when they have pain, to treat the pain, this will allow them to heal, and it will also not have them become addicted, because that's what so many people are worried about nowadays. And I do hear this constantly. So I want to make sure that if you're treating pain and you're not just using it for, okay, I'm just going to take it just to take it, that's when it becomes a problem. But if we're not treating the pain for the wound will not heal. So it does need to be treated. So we do have here, there's multiple levels. There's a 1 through 10 scale. So either they have no pain, mild pain, moderate, severe. Now, if a patient cannot communicate with you, this doesn't mean we don't have to address or assess the pain level. We need to be using tools that are available to us. So the Wong-Baker Face Pain Rating Scale, this is a great tool to use. As you can see here, it has different levels that we can physically see. We can show this to them so they kind of know and can point to what they are feeling. So pain is always what your patient says it is. So we have to go by that for wounds, because some wounds are extremely painful and we don't want to be leaving somebody without assessing their pain and letting them suffer. Now, understanding whether the pain is sharp, dull, throbbing, burning can help us guide to choosing the right pain management. So this is really good to be able to give this information to the doctor to prescribe the medication that they need for their wound and the type of pain that they are experiencing. It's also good to note whether the pain is just during dressing changes or whether it is constant. So then we get into our infection indicators. So we want to assess for infection. So signs of infection like increased redness, heat, or change in exudate require immediate attention. So if there is suspected infection, we should always be doing a culture and sensitivity, so microbial testing, because antibiotics may be necessary to prevent further complications. So signs to look out for: redness, swelling, heat, pus, odor, fever, and even delayed wound healing are all signs of infection. Now, I do have an awesome chart here. It does show determining infection with nerds and stonies. So this helps determine local infection or deep spreading infection. So local infection, we can actually treat with a topical antimicrobial, and your deep spreading infection, you need to treat with antibiotics. So for local infection, now I want you to know, you want to have 3 or more signs on either side. So either your local infection or your deep spreading infections. A lot of times you may have 2 on one side, 3 on the other. So when you have 3 on a side, that determines clinical infection. Now, I do want to say you need to use clinical judgment also anytime. Nothing's cookie cutter in wound care. So you do need to use clinical judgment, because there are patients who don't show infection outright if they are immunocompromised or have comorbidities such as diabetes. They do not show infection like everybody else does sometimes. So we just need to use clinical judgment with that. But let's get into this chart a little bit more. So for local infection, we have nerds. So non-healing, exudate increase, red and bleeding. Is there debris in the wound? So that yellow sloughy material. And is there an odor to the wound? Okay. Then our deep spreading infection is a size increase. Is temperature increase? Can we touch bone? Is there new breakdown? Do you have redness or swelling? Is the exudate increased, and is there a smell? So that will really guide you in the right direction, whether you need an antimicrobial or an antibiotic. But whenever there is infection suspected, we should be taking a culture and sensitivity. We need to get that culture done on the wound to see what we're dealing with and how we should treat it. We do look at wound healing progress. So what's the status of the wound? Is it healing? Is it non-healing? Has it stalled? Is it not really done anything for 2 weeks? Is it improving or is it deteriorating? These all help us determine and see what's going on with the wound. So that's why it's always important for consistent care. It's awesome when one nurse can be caring for a patient all the time, especially in home care, because in home care we have a lot of wound care patients. So it's really great when we can have just 1 or 2 nurses going in there who know the patient really well and can see what's going on. We can look at the measurements. We can see if it's progressing or if it hasn't really done anything. This is going to help us a lot. So we always need to document very, very well when it comes to wounds, and consistency of care is honestly key. Now we look at the wound healing stages here. Now, a wound should go through these stages where we stop the bleeding. That's almost immediate. Our platelets come in, they stop the bleeding, and then we go into the inflammatory phase. So this is where we have defense and cleanup of the wound. Now, the problem is with chronic wounds, a lot of times they are stuck in this inflammatory phase and they don't get over to the proliferative phase where we have that repairing of damaged tissue, where we further go on to maturation, where we have strengthening and repairing of the new tissue. So it's really good to know your stages and to recognize what stage the wound is in, and if we're getting into that chronic wound kind of category state. So we've looked at the wound, we have documented everything that we possibly can about the wound. Now we go into the treatment plan. So this is where we determine our primary dressing. If we have a secondary dressing, are we using a topical treatment, an antimicrobial or antibiotics? If there's any pain management or anything else, we need to be documenting this, what we're using. And this, once again, will help either other nurses or help just track what the treatment plan is for the patient, so we can see if we need to make any changes going forward on the next assessment. Frequency of dressing change, we always have to let our patient know of this, and they do need to contact us if they're having any issues, such as their dressing getting saturated by the amount of Exudate. If we do pick that 2 to 3 day dressing change or even a weekly dressing change, they need to be contacting us immediately if there's anything going on. So if that dressing is becoming saturated about the 2 day mark and they're supposed to wear it for a week, we can't let them have that wound dressing stay on there because the wound will deteriorate and macerate due to the excess amount of drainage on that wound. So wound care is a lot of educating our patients about these things. And then we want to have a follow-up. So we want to make sure that we're following up at least every 2 weeks with our patients, just to keep track of the wound and see any progression. At that 2-week mark, we should see progression. And then we also want to note if we're referring the patient to any specialist. So say if they have a venous leg ulcer or an arterial leg ulcer, are we sending them, which we should be, if they don't have a vascular surgeon, they need to be seeing one, just to make sure that everything is being done for this patient and we have our whole circle of care, making sure that they are getting the best possible treatment. So that's all for the wound assessment. All the tools you've seen here are available on my website, thewoundconsultant.com, under digital products. I have a ton of amazing resources available on my website, so make sure that you do check it out. But that's all that I have for this video, guys, and I hope to catch you in my next one. Bye for now.